Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Winona State Football Players Association podcast. Today, I am fortunate to be joined by our new president of Winona State University, Dr. Kenneth Janz. Dr. Janz, thanks for being with us.
Glad to be here.
So if we can, maybe by starting, why don't we talk about you, your past, where you came from, and how you ended up in that chair you're sitting in today.
All right. To get started at the beginning, I was born and raised in Dickinson, North Dakota. So I come from the western half of North Dakota. I graduated from Dickinson High School and then graduated from Dickinson State University. So NAIA school, thinking about athletics. I didn't participate in athletics, but I was always went to all the games and was always a fan of sporting and sporting events. After that, I went to West Fargo Public Schools and was a public school teacher for 5 years, and at the same time worked on my master's degree at North Dakota State University, and always enjoyed watching Bison football when I was at NDSU. And then after that, I started working in College of Education at Indiana State University, where I also did my PhD there as well, and was there for 10 years and kind of moved up the ladder, started in a director position, ended in a associate VP position. And then I came to Winona State about 17 years ago, started as the chief information officer, the CIO, basically headed IT, added a year after that about associate vice president of academic affairs. So I basically started heading up things that deal with academic affairs that are not the colleges, things like institutional research and items like that. And then in 2015, picked up the role of dean of the library. And then in 2018, picked up strategic planning for the campus. And in August was named interim president for the university. And in March 20th, I was named permanent president of the university. I absolutely love Winona State. My daughter graduated from school here. It's one of my favorite places to be, and just enjoy coming to work every day.
So 17 years, you're almost a local now.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, but yeah, I've been here quite a while. I feel local. And for those, one of my stories I like to tell is I only live about a couple blocks from campus, so I literally walk to work every day, and I enjoy doing that. And I enjoy just walking around the campus anytime I can. And it's one of the great ways to meet students, because during the school year, I now have 3 purple, various shades of purple blazers, and so the students have picked up on that. And so I will routinely have students come and talk to me on campus because I'm very identifiable between the round glasses and the purple blazer. People know who I am now, so I get lots of people talking to me throughout the day.
So I'm not on campus often. I live up in the Twin Cities, and I'm back a handful of times a year. And I can honestly say I think I've seen you more on campus than probably any other campus figure over the last 6-8 months. So it doesn't seem to be the hallway or the courtyard you're walking through. There's Dr. Janz interacting with somebody, and that's really appreciated and an awesome thing.
I actually think post-COVID, we needed to I always talk about us being a community of learners improving our world. And I truly believe in the ability of community and belonging. And I've been doubling down. I've been talking to our administrative staff is like, how can we continue to build sense of belonging? How can we build sense of community? I think that is so important for our campus and for who we are identity-wise and rebuilding that. And so that's just one of the things I feel strongly about is being seen, being noticed, going to those student events. I think it's really important.
So let's shift gears and talk
Okay.
maybe holistically about Winona State. And I'll start with the big elephant in the room, the tough topic that most universities across the country are dealing with, and that's this widely talked about enrollment cliff. Can you talk about what that is and the impact that it will have on universities, Winona State included, and what your thoughts are on how you'll differentiate us from maybe the rest of the state schools in Minnesota and even our competing schools around our state and region that are dealing with the same enrollment issues.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's real. We've suffered, and I will say suffered, 24% enrollment loss since 2014. That's where we were kind of at our peak, and then we've lost 24% of our enrollment since then. And I hate to do this because it's something we need to fight against and buck the trend. I mean, it's in line with many of our sister schools within the Minnesota state system. And it's true, we just don't have as many 18 to 22-year-old students. So what some schools are doing is, trying to get that working professional back to school, trying to find master's degrees. And we've been seeing that in our graduate programs. That's actually where we've had some growth, is in our graduate education. One thing that I've been sharing with campus that we've been working on is, even though we've had 24% enrollment loss over that year, where we've had a bigger enrollment issue is recruitment out of the Twin Cities metro area. We're down 38%. And in many of our local counties and stuff, we're only down 1, 2, 3%, single digit numbers. But we're down significantly in the Twin Cities metro area. So we've actually done a couple things to kind of work on trying to improve that. We added an admissions counselor up in the Twin Cities metro area that is actually working the school visits. We've increased the amount of times we have staff go up there. We're going to start this fall with administrators going up there and visiting with potential students, doing meet and greets at various hotels areas and trying to get students to come down. We are, one of the budget saving mechanisms we have, we're going to have almost all, except for head coaches, most of our associate and assistant coaches will actually spend part of their time recruiting. And how we're doing that is going up to Green Bay, and you're going to be looking at some athletes there, student athletes there at the same time. Well, we have these 5 high schools that we have students come from. Can you do a high school visit at the same time? So we're working to leverage our athletic coaches in the local schools. And that's something we're going to be starting this year. We used to do it prior to 2015. We're going to go back to it because I find coaches tend to have the gift of gab and understanding and connecting and relating to people. And I just really feel that if we get them out in the schools, that we can have that energy translate into getting students beyond just the student athletes to think about coming to and attending Winona State University.
And so for those listening and watching, enrollment's a huge issue for all aspects of the university. From a funding standpoint.
Yep.
But athletics shoulders a huge burden with that. Can you just talk about the impact to athletics when it relates to enrollment?
Yeah, there are two elements how it impacts athletics. First of all is most of our operational expenses, so travel, hotels, food when students are on the road, are paid for from what we call our student athletic fees. So it's paid for from a student fee. So when you have less students, you generate less student fee. And we've been definitely feeling that because when you lose 24% of your students, essentially you can count on 24% of your budget going away because it's absolutely directly related to. And as Eric Shaw will tell you, the problem is the trips don't get any shorter and we don't cut anything out of our schedule. So the operational expenses stay the same. And that's been the issue we've been trying to deal with. We did go to the student body and we're doing a 10% increase on our athletic student fee to help close that gap. And they actually approved that this year. And this is one thing, I don't have the exact figure. It was in the 60% area that we had students approved it. So students are invested in our athletic program. We asked them to vote on increasing their student athletic fee and the student body actually approved it. So we are getting that bump this year. The other half of the budget at athlete, I'll say third because they also do fundraising and corporate sponsorships. But the other part that comes from the university directly is what we call our general fund. That's money that gets paid through via tuition, not a fee. Mostly that's our athletic coaches get paid from that. We actually had to do $7 million in budget reductions this last year, of which all aspects of the universities were touched. That's where before one of the deals I made is we moved a position around to kind of protect athletics in that, I wanted, it was a give and take. I really wanted us to do some more recruitment. And I felt that we had capacity within our assistant and associate coaches to be able to do that. And that's where we worked a deal that they would help us in recruitment. And that way we kept all the positions intact, but then we're getting additional individuals to help us in the recruiting aspects of the campus. So to me, it was a win-win. We actually got through that so we could have both sides could get something out of it. We didn't reduce any staff, but we actually got additional people to help us recruit for admissions.
Yeah, definitely a huge impact. Obviously, athletics is something very important to the university and to you personally in your role. Those of you that don't follow Dr. Janz on social media, you are at a athletic event almost every day, which is neat to see, whether it's baseball, soccer, football, track, golf. I think I've seen all of the above from you, and I'm missing several others. So obviously,
as well as music, dance programs, and everything else.
Yeah.
At university event, I try to go. Correct.
And
but
so,
yeah, I think it's important to be seen.
And so obviously that tells me, as the president of the FPA and somebody invested not only in the university and the academic programs, but also the athletic programs, that's something that's very important to you in your role. Tell us why you think athletics and maybe even specifically why football is so important to Winona State.
Well, I'll go super broad and then I'll narrow down to super. I think any extracurricular activities, whether it's music, dance, theater, art shows, it all contributes to who you are as a person. It makes you a more rounded person. Same thing. And I think the great thing is, I'm an Eagle Scout, came from Boy Scouts, the leadership skills I learned from that. Same thing I think you learn in athletics, when you learn the leadership skills and how you move forward, how you build team chemistry, how you work together to achieve goals. I think all of things are super important. So for me, when you get down into any athletics or those extra activities, anything that builds back to that sense of where I said building community, building sense of belonging, those cultures, whether it's football, basketball, any of those extracurricular sports, you're building chemistry, you're building team chemistry, you're building leadership skills. And to me, I think those things stay with a person the rest of their life. And that's why I think supporting those is so important. And I think athletics specifically, they are the front porch of the university. That's where people, we get more, it's probably not a good analogy because newspapers aren't as big as they used to be, but you probably get more, linear inches in a newspaper with your athletic teams, with sports coverage and things like that, than you do other events on campus. And that's just something that happens. You get good press out of it. And I think that's why it's important for a university to have a good face and continue working to promote that. But I fundamentally believe, without the community issue aspects of it, just the absolute way it builds character in individuals in any sport or any of those extracurricular activities is what helps us become the people we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome to hear. I've heard that term a lot, and we've used that term as the FPA a lot, the front porch of the university, and we carry that water very heavily, and we try and do things the right way as a football program. And I know Coach Bergstrom is definitely doing that, and we try and align with your words there as well. So sticking with athletics, my next question, and I want to be careful the way I ask this, and I haven't prepped you for it. For now, probably about 10 years, we've had lengthy dialogue about facility improvements at Winona State. Where is that on your priority list, and maybe why?
So you'll see that come very clear. One of the things I'm doing, and I've announced the campus, is building a vision, Winona State 2035, where we are going to have a 10-year plan. And people who know me at the campus know I'm a planner and a doer. I don't just plan, I plan and do. And we need to lay that out. One of the things I have suggested, and I can't get into specifics, is we got to start hitting some singles. My big thing is I have too many people talking about, well, we need to do this. And it's so big, it becomes overwhelming that we don't do anything to accomplishment. What we need to do is start breaking those tasks down into smaller doable tasks so we make progress every year towards achieving a goal. And I feel pretty strongly about that. That's one thing I've been talking at cabinet about, is how we can break down our asks to be more sizable, digestible pieces of doable projects to get moving forward. I'll tell you one disadvantage we do have that some other states don't is if you go to Wisconsin, they can bond athletic facilities by the state. Our system does not typically bond athletic facilities. So what absolutely it becomes much harder, whether you're a Minnesota State Mankato, a Bemidji State, is you usually, to get new buildings, have to fundraise to get those buildings. And that's also a challenge. I think some other states tend to have a little bit of an advantage on us, is they can do things because they can get state money to pay for those facilities, where it's a little bit harder for us to accomplish that. Or we have to get creative in how we do that. And so it's just one of the aspects that I think is a little more challenging. But for me, I think you'll start hearing about, and you will probably have, I'm almost positive, we'll have listening sessions with community groups, and FPA can absolutely be one of them, on in 10 years where we want to be. We'll figure out what are the smaller pieces of information we need to work on to create larger goals and to get to them.
So it's an important priority for you, is what I'm hearing, and something you've been spending a lot of your first months in the chair.
We've been thinking about it. We've been thinking about it, and I've just been trying to, because when people say, well, we need new this, that, and the other thing, well, the dollar figure is so astronomically high. Well, how can we break that down into digestible pieces so we can actually do something about it? And so I'm a doer. So if I'm going to say we're going to do it, we're going to do it. And that's the reason why I want to make sure we can come up with items we can accomplish. But we are trying to build a runway to get some things done.
So last kind of couple of questions here, and then I'll maybe open it up to you for closing remarks or comments that we haven't covered. How has the first few months been in your chair?
Well, it's interesting. When I was interim president to March, I had something called a bubble wrap memo on me. So we couldn't buy or sell property. I had to have a balanced budget. We couldn't do acquisitions more than $100,000. So there's all these kind of things the system puts you in place, so you can't do a lot. Well, I didn't realize how that worked until like the day I was named president, March 20th, how then all of a sudden I had people coming to my door suddenly asking for stuff where they waited until I was actually president. So it's just people knew the difference between being an interim, being a caretaker, and actually being president to move forward. But it's good. And like I said, I want to see Winona State achieve at high levels. I want us to see moving forward. So I think that's what this next year, so by summer of 25, we can actually do a 10-year plan. And I'll tell you this, it's my intention to work that whole 10-year plan. So that is one thing, is I'm a person that's been at Winona State 17 years. I want to be here another, at minimum 10. I'm vested. I think that's important to know, that I want us to succeed and want us to move forward. So.
Well, congratulations again on the opportunity to serve. What number president are you at Winona State?
16th, I believe.
Which is incredible to me, because the university was founded in the late 1800s.
Yeah.
And you're the 16th president. There's been only 16 butts in that chair you're sitting in over 130 years. So what an awesome achievement for you and your family, and congratulations again. Final question for you, and then you can, if you have any dialogue to add, if there's anything you want to make sure you cover, by all means do. How can we help? How can the FPA help? What would your ask be of not only our members, but our players on the football team, their families, and the community that supports the university through the FPA?
I think, again, what you're doing right now with scholarships is always important, because getting those external monies to be able to get those student athletes to come to Winona State, to perform for Winona State, to achieve at Winona State, to graduate from Winona State is so important. I think that's part. Being present, being there. I mean, game day experiences are so awesome at Winona State. And, you know, when you have the FPA Association on I usually am opposite of where FPA is. You guys are up near the library thing, and being there and hearing that cheering, hearing that excitement, I think is always important. I think anytime you can tell Winona State's story, I think it's important to be able to tell the good things that Winona State does on the football field, outside the football field, in the community, around the community. I think all of those things are awesome things to do, and let people know the impact that Winona State had on you, I think are always important. And I think you're going to hear in the next year or two, we're going to start doing some what I would call facilities projects, and then finding ways that we can help contribute to move us forward. And I think that'll also be important in the future. And I actually think, lastly, always sharing your passion with me is also important, because I want to hear what the community wants and where we want to go. Because again, I started talking about sense of community and belonging is important. And I think that also extends to our alumni. So I just want to continue building those bridges moving forward.
Thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And, you know, it's sort of been the maturity of our organization. We started simply as an alumni group, connecting alumni and getting people back together and having reunions and trying to create some momentum in the football program just from connections. Yeah. And then through the last 10-year cycle with budget challenges, I would say, or hurdles, we've shifted gears a little bit. And, you know, Ken, we're so thankful for all of the folks that have supported Winona State football and Winona State through the FPA. We raised almost $100,000 last year that went directly to the operation of the Winona State football program. And the program would not be what it is without the support of our members and their supporters. And so thank you all for that. If you want to get more involved, as always, there'll be a link here at the end, winonastatefootball.org. There's several opportunities to donate to our endowed scholarship fund that's housed in the foundation, or also to an immediate need of the program. And we always appreciate that. Ken, anything else that you have that you want to close with and wrap us up?
Well, just thank you for continuing to support Winona State University. We deeply appreciate it. I look forward to the football season of 2024, starting with Saginaw State visiting us on September 5th. So I think that'll be fun, and look forward to that event. And I look forward to all the engagement we have throughout the fall semester and moving forward. And you know, Winona State's an awesome school, and so it's easy to cheer for, and it just support. The university is great.
Well, thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Janz. As always, make sure you tune in next time and check us out at winonastatefootball.org. Thanks so much.
Thank you.